Hi guys, on this show we're looking at Marsan, Grant, Farrell, Strong, Dockery, Golden, Hunnam and McConaughey. We're looking at 2019's The Gentleman.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of 100 Things We Learned from Film. I'm one of your hosts, my name's Plenty, and I'm going to fucking cut you, you cunt!
And I'm John, and I'm a geezer!
We'll start off as we mean to go on, eh?
It's honestly, see by the end of this film, I wanted to talk Cockney all night.
The C bomb was dropped no end. In fact, I got a fact about that.
Oh, right, good.
What are we talking about this week, John?
We're looking at 2019's The Gentleman.
Now, I watched this when it first came to, I want to say, Amazon a couple of years ago. Maybe during lockdown, I think I might have watched this. And I was kind of like, I like that, but there's a lot about it I don't like.
Yeah.
And
I did like Hugh Grant's.
Hugh Grant is the best thing in it. Hugh Grant's the best thing in it. And I remember from the very onset thinking, I fucking hate that Charlie Hunnam. There's a guy you can't act. There's a guy I don't like. But you know what? I really like him in this.
Oh, really?
Like, he really grew on me in the next two times. I've seen this film 3 times now. The next 2 times I watched it this week, it really, really grew on me, except for his fucking stupid jumper, stupid cardigan.
Oh, the cardigan, yeah.
Yeah,
he never wore that in Green Street, did he?
It's like, you're fucking 30. What you doing wearing that? Yeah.
I know. It was definitely going for some kind of look, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. 2019, John, what else could we have been talking about?
There was a lot going on, so I wouldn't even look it up, but I remember Parasite was out.
Okay, yeah, won the Oscar the next year, yeah.
Right up there. Knives Out, very good film as well. Yeah. Us, I went to see that in the pictures.
So did I, yeah.
But off the beaten track, Stuber.
Oh, I saw that recently. That's quite sweet.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I didn't hate that.
And is it Brightburn? If I remember
shitty baby Superman. Everyone loved it except me. I thought it was a wasted opportunity.
And Spider-Man Far From Home. Well, I'll bring us down even lower. Hellboy.
Oh man, that non-Guillermo del Toro Hellboy.
I was raging. I had an opportunity to
the shittest Hellboy that there ever was. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't swear often on this show, but I fucking hate it, and I honestly wish they hadn't wasted it. They wasted an opportunity. Give Ron Perlman his last crescendo.
Yeah. Big Mo from EastEnders is in it though, running that fake chip shop. Anyway, look, listeners, you know what this is. We're the podcast that tries to learn 100 things for every film that we cover. He's watched it, I've watched it, and we've tried to come up with 100 things. If you like this, we've got a Patreon as well. Give us a quid. We'll allow you to choose a film of your own, well, not of your own choice, but one of about 5 choices every month. And we're throwing up some bonus episodes. More on that at the very end of the show. John, you don't look ready. Are you ready?
I am ready. Gladiator, I'm ready.
New computer, and you're all fucking asunder.
It's killing me, but I'll get there. New technology, it frightens me. I hate change.
That fucking ZX Spectrum you've got there is really giving you the fear.
I know. It's trying to get this tracking to get it. The tape going is just in my tits in. But we're there. I'm here. Turn
the tape over and it'll load quicker on the other side.
It's all working now, mate. It's all working now.
Okay, so we start. Matthew McConaughey walks into a pub. It's not a joke. He asked the bartender for a pint and a pickled egg. I noticed one of the beers on the taps was Timothy Taylor's Landlord, which is lush. Timothy Taylor's Landlord, John, family-owned brewery founded in 1858 in Keighley, West Yorkshire. Landlord was created for miners to compete against local rival Barnsley Bitter, which is South Yorkshire.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, there you go. I love a pint of Timmy Taylor's.
I had that, but I just got the founded year, so well done you.
Thank you very much. The pub itself, where this is filmed, is the Princess Victoria, which was a gin palace built in 1829 in Shepherd's Bush.
that right?
Yeah. And a pickled egg is a hard-boiled egg cured in vinegar or brine. To preserve eggs, Germans, the Germans, were pickling eggs as far back as the mid-1700s.
What did they ever do for us?
So, John, do you like a pickled egg?
I do. I do actually enjoy a pickled egg. I love a pickle for the chippy, like a proper pickle, but a pickled egg is really nice.
Yeah, me as well. Really do. So Mickey pulls out his phone, calls his wife, steak night tonight. And then he says, who's there? Somebody approaches behind, pulls a gun. There's a gunshot, and all we see is the pint glass covered in blood, and we get the titles. Now,
Yeah.
because this is a Guy Ritchie film, it's arguably style over substance, but I still think there's plenty of substance in it. So we're going to miss out a lot of the quotes and the chat, because otherwise we'd be here till about midnight.
Oh God,
We'd have like a 4-hour episode, but we're not best film fucking ever. All right, so we're not doing that. No, we don't do that. Yeah, so the music on the jukebox, which is also the music through the titles, he puts the jukebox on. It's called Cumberland Gap by a guy called David Rawlins. The word jukebox came to use in America beginning in 1940, derived from a juke joint, which is derived from the Gullah word juke, which means bawdy. The most expensive jukebox ever sold at auction was a Wurlitzer, sold by Christie's for $22,325 dues.
Of course, it was. Wurlitzer was the way forward, wasn't it? It was all beautiful with the bubbles and the neon.
Yeah,
lovely
right.
Stuff. Lovely jubbly.
Oh, before we move on, one of the other beers on the side is called the English Law Beer, which was a pale ale, 4%. It's brewed by Ritchie Brewing Company.
What? Ritchie for Happy Days?
Hey, sit on it. There was a jukebox in Happy Days as well. No, Ritchie, as in the guy that makes the film.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Also from Ritchie is Tough Guys Films, which is his production company, which is this one.
It rolls right out of the tap. So I've seen Rock and Roller, Revolver. The only one I've not seen that they've produced is Wrath of Man with Jason Statham. So I need to get it watched.
Oh, I've not seen that. No.
Yeah.
Rock and Roller I remember liking a lot more than anybody else.
I thought it was really good. I liked Gerard Butler's character in it as well, so it helped.
Of course you did.
Fellow Scott for Paisley. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, but who calls him Gerard? Nobody. Gerard Butler.
I know.
Gerard. Oh, it's Jerry from Paisley, man.
I know. Big G boy.
After the titles, there's this character in the kitchen. Is called Ray. He's Charlie Hunnam, and he works for Mickey. We learn. Standing in the darkness, the best thing in this film is Hugh Grant. Fletcher.
Hugh Grant, it really is. He's so good. I loved
brilliant in it. Now, most of the film's told by Fletcher talking, so instead of kind of cutting between the two scenes, I'll just talk you through what's happening on the screen. Unless something particularly I have to go back to those two characters.
Yeah,
but it's basically him telling a story of what's going on, and he's got a plan. Okay.
Yeah. While drinking his finest malt whiskey, I see.
150 years old, he claims.
Well, there's another one he bought. It was a Glen
Farkas.
Yep, 1976. So if you want, I can buy you a bottle from Malt Masters for £5,123.
Oof, you're all right, mate. I'm still not back on the booze, but maybe at some point. Yeah, sorry. He said it was 50. He didn't. He said it was 1,500 quid's worth at the time, not 150 years old. I can't read my own typing. It seems. He is blackmailing Mickey, okay, because his editor of this newspaper, which is quite blatantly meant to be the Sun, this guy Big Dave, who's not in it enough.
I know. No, he's a brilliant character actor, isn't he?
Yeah. We saw him last in Filth, didn't we?
Oh God, so we did, yeah. The
Yeah.
wee, the
I'm
wee, the wee
Frank
dweeb.
Sidebottom.
Oh
I'm Frank
God, oh God.
Sidebottom. Yeah,
Flipping it.
exactly. Yeah.
There's a bit of beef bottom going on later on. Oh no,
There
pork
is a
bottom.
little bit of
Pork
a
bottom.
little bit of pork belly butt, as the Americans would call it. Yeah. So he explains he's taken dislike to Mickey, and as such, he wants to run a story to destroy him. Fletcher says that he's blackmailing Mickey. He wants 20 million to hand over all the evidence that he has. And this screenplay that he's written, which is strangely called Bush, and then it just says at the bottom, by Fletcher. It's like not even like his full name, just Fletcher. I liked that. Fletcher's explaining he wants Ray to think of a character as in a film, but not with a memory stick, as in analog. He keeps saying, keep the grain in the picture, I say. Old school, 35 mil.
35 mil.
Is what he's talking about. 35 mil flexible film was first produced by George Eastman in 1889. Your man Edison jumped on this and used the film as part of his invention, the kinetoscope, in 1893. He claimed the patent for the 35 millimeter gauge film. The gauge of 35 is the width of the film. Mm-hmm. So 33 millimeters is the width of the film. That's how that works.
Right, yeah, because I looked at the filmmaker side of it, and they said it was made readily available to the sort of the film making population around about 1934. So I'm trying to look further back, but no, but 35 mil seems to be the weapon of choice for filmmakers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, previously it had been 17 mil for the silent stuff, but it just didn't have enough oomph to be able to catch what people were how the lips wouldn't go with the sound on 17 mil. Finally, that college that I paid for is paying off. Possibly not if we don't get 100 things. So he basically says he does this thing where he's saying no, don't think about it as TV, and it's kind of the screen goes in a little bit to like 4:3 as we would know, doesn't it, like a box. He says proper 2.35, which is what they call anamorphic, as we know. He says this is beautiful cinema, and I'm not going to lie, he's pretty right. It looks good.
That looks good, doesn't it? That opens right out.
Matthew McConaughey is called Mickey Pearson. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that not the name of Rodney's mate in Only Fools and Horses?
Is it Mickey Pierce?
Mickey Pierce. Fuck, it's been doing my head in for days, that. Every time someone's got Mickey Pearson, I was like, all right, Rod.
I think it's Mickey Pierce.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's an American-born Rhodes Scholar. Rhodes Scholar is a scholarship or support award to help kids study at Oxford for free. It was first run in 1903, and there's 103 of them offered a year, and you can apply from anywhere around the world.
Even Scotland?
If you must. Matthew McConaughey, of course, we know him. Apparently, his dad played football for the University of Kentucky and the University of Houston before getting drafted in the 27th round by the Green Bay Packers.
So
and fact of the episode.
Go for it. No, I was going to say, is he the man from Kentucky?
Well, it's funny you should say. It's funny you say the man from Kentucky because he died shagging Matthew McConaughey's mum. He died on the job. Yeah.
What way to go?
Had a heart attack. Shagging.
Oh my God, no
way. Back to the episode there, son. Right, absolutely. Last month after the Robb Elementary School shooting, Matthew McConaughey spoke at the White House to press and said, we need responsible gun ownership. We need background checks. We need to raise the minimum age to purchase an AR-15 rifle to 21. We need a waiting period for those rifles, and we need red flag laws and consequences for those who abuse them. Mm-hmm. Brilliant, eh? So, obviously, decent guy. Mickey goes to University of Oxford, studies horticulture, as Fletch tells us, i.e. growing weed and dealing to posh kids. There's this flashback of Mickey kind of going through this thing and him taking a machete into a flat, mugging these lads for the money. It was really good, putting a guy through with the machete. So, not afraid to get his hands dirty, as Fletcher says.
It was the English version of True Romance, isn't it?
It kind of is. Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah. Fletcher explains Mickey wants to cash in his chips and get out the game. So he's getting a bit middle class. So he's at this gala dinner and we meet this guy, Matthew Berger, right? Who's apparently this Jewish billionaire cowboy. And all that made me think of was City Slickers, I'll be honest.
Did it?
That's all I can think of. But this guy's in the fantastic Succession with Brian Cox, Dundonian character actor, not Space bloke. He's very, very good in that. And it was one of those things. Like, is it him? Is it not him? Because he's constantly got a fucking hat and those stupid glasses on.
Yeah.
This guy's made a big donation to build a cognitive research centre and basically showing off. They go to a posh country shoot and they're discussing Mickey's 50-ton weed empire. Matthew wants to buy it, and Mickey explains he's willing to sell it for £400 million.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a lot of money.
So there's a lot of money. No, it sounds like it, but when you look at the overall amount, even just for Asia, well, I'll go into that later on.
Okay, cool.
It's a drop in the ocean.
Yeah, 100%. We find out the reason Big Dave hates Mickey so much is because he wouldn't shake his hand at this posh do. And he's like, oh no, I'm from the paper. I know who you are. And he just won't shake his hand. And it's really awkward. Like that scene feels like it goes on for 20 minutes, but it's like 20 seconds.
It's an awkward scene. Well, I suppose it's made to make you feel like that, so you feel awkward for him, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Did he mention White Widow cheese?
He does mention White Widow cheese.
Turns out it's actually a strain.
Is it
marijuana.
Really?
Yeah. So it says it's a hybrid strain with many-sided cross with Afghani, super skunk, and cheese. But and it's also a song by Christopher Benstead for the score.
All right, okay. Oh, fantastic. Well spotted, that man.
But as soon as I heard White Widow cheese, I was like, nah, that can't be true.
That's not right.
That's true.
Now, at this point, I've got a question, right? Why is Hugh Grant playing this role quite so fucking camp and homosexual?
He really does. All the time.
Do you think the character benefits from being homosexual?
Maybe pandering. Maybe just
possibly, but it's just the way he plays it over the top. I didn't see any need for some of the terminology, I think.
Yeah, and because it's a serious situation as well, I thought it was maybe a bit. It's a bit weird.
I thought it was just a bit of a camp fella because
I thought he was just doing it at the beginning,
way.
just to muck about. But later on, he keeps doing it and doing it and doing it. But I think you're right. I think he's obviously written it as a gay character, but
which is absolutely fine because from what we can tell, every other character in this fucking thing's straight and white. So we need, we do need that. But ultimately, it's the kind of it's time to leave. Oh, I'm just lubing you up.
And that's the thing. It's the levity in comparison to the situation that doesn't compute. So I mean, if you're in that situation, it's a serious situation. You don't want to be fucking the person about you trying to get the money off us. So it's a bit weird. He made it work though.
Oh yeah,
he made it work. But I'm with you. I thought he maybe just overplayed that a wee bit.
Yeah, I wasn't. I just didn't get it. I think he could have played a straight character without having to necessarily play it like straight boring. He could have still been fun. He could have still had the camp kind of ways about it. Or he could have been a homosexual character without the overtly sexualization of kind of Charlie Hunnam's character. Yeah. Anyway, that's just what I was thinking.
I think we both picked up on that. No, I picked up on that straight away. As I say, it was just for me, it was more the fact that some of the things he was saying, it just didn't fit in. So it was a bit weird.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah. So the question is, how's Mickey kept 50 tons of weed under wraps? Mickey explains the problem with land in this country. He says it's that there's not much of it, and that public access, even when it's supposed to be private. You've got dog walkers, footpaths, right to roam ramblers, badger lovers, and any other busy cunt with time on his hands.
And it's some points the woman's busy as nosy. Is it nosy cunt?
yeah, just busy cunt. This woman with an arrow above her head. Groups, forums, meetings, social media. I love a good chat about this. Anyone who's decided to mow his lawn without a license. It's kind of like Jesus Christ. But he mentions heritage sites. There are 218 listed UNESCO World Heritage Sites. There's only one that has been delisted since they started doing them, and that's the Arabian Oryx Sanctuary. The Arabian Oryx is an animal. The unique desert ecosystem in Oman has been taken off as Oman has reduced the size of it by 90%, meaning the numbers of breeding pairs of oryx is down from 450 to 65.
They reduced it by 90%, did you
By
say?
90%, yeah. I
Jesus.
assume for building on or whatever. But yeah, it was taken off in the 90s for that. I've been to
Right.
quite a few UNESCO World Heritage Sites, and they're a funny setup. There's, I think, New Lanark's one, John. I'm pretty sure
is
New
it?
Lanark's one. Yeah.
Right.
Saltaire's one in West Yorkshire. Trinidad, the south of Cuba, is one. So there's I think I've been to probably about 15.
Right.
But yeah, they're basically they're a thing that's monitored, and there's rules around what you can and can't do there, so what you can and can't build. He moans about parish councils. Parish councils are civil local authorities found in England, which are the lowest tier of local government.
You have no authority here, Jackie Weaver.
That's exactly right. Jesus, I'd forgotten about Jackie Weaver. Explains to Matthew that he's bought off lords, ladies, dukes, duchesses, okay, and their homes. These things are expensive to look after because they get damp and they need basically looked after because they're old. And then when you inherit a fortune from your parents or from somebody, you lose half to the state. So what he's done is he's using their land. He's paying them yearly to use their land. They keep getting paid, and he can hide his 12 farms across the UK, all on posh country estates. Which I was kind of like, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
Fantastic idea. And they pull up at this little shipping container, and you're like, okay, right, is that where it is? They open it up, and it's just a workbench, tool shed with this ball peen hammer, which always makes me think of penises when I think of ball peen. Ball peen hammer is a metalwork hammer, and scrap in Fallout 4. So much fucking scrap in Fallout 4.
No.
He moves the workbench out of the way, and it goes down the stairs into these huge cabinets, massive.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
And Matthew just goes, "Oh, England's green and pleasant land." It's a great line. England's green and pleasant land is a line from Jerusalem, the hymn based on the William Blake poem, and did those feet in ancient time. The music is by Sir Hubert Parry and was added in 1916. I feel like we've done Jerusalem, but I had a little bit of a look through my notes and I couldn't find a thing.
There's something vaguely familiar about Jerusalem.
Yeah, I've got 82 sets of notes for this fucking podcast so far, and I could wait if you include this one. I could not find a fucking thing. Mickey explains Matthew's buying the whole infrastructure, not just the weed farm. Because when marijuana becomes legal in the UK, Matthew will be the first in line because there's not going to be the infrastructure for it.
Yep.
So it's going to take what is currently worth 200 billion to $500 billion, which I don't even think is a real number, but okay.
Yeah. Is it? Aye.
Yeah, it's a real number. Biggest weed seizure in the UK in 2021, John, was in Walsall, where police found more than 6,000 plants crammed into a property in Slaney Road, estimated to be worth more than £6.5 million.
Woofed. So more cannabis-related facts. In 2019, the estimated demand value for cannabis in Asia was approximately $132.9 billion US.
Wow.
And that's only Asia. There's about 10 other countries on top of that, or lower amounts, but that was the highest one, 132.9 billion.
Fantastic. That's really good.
Sweet.
Sweet Mary Jane. Matthew says he is interested, but he wants to see the whole process. He wants to see the packaging and the distribution and everything. Mickey says, look, we'll do that, but not until the money's in escrow. And I was like, I don't know what that word means. So I had to look. Escrow means to place in custody or trust until a specified condition has been fulfilled. So basically, Matthew will only see the distribution network once Mickey has the money.
Right.
There you go. I'm learning words. I think I'm good with words. Apparently, I'm not. On the subject of words, the word cunt is used 25 times.
And fuckery only twice, which is a lovely word.
Fuckery's a good one. I'll
Fuckery
start
effort.
using fuckery.
So
It's
that's slang
fuckery
for
effort.
sexual intercourse, by the way. I didn't think it was that. I thought it was made up, but it's maybe slang for sexual intercourse.
All
Because
right,
she says there's fuckery effort at one point,
She does
and
say there's
I nearly
fuckery
fell off
afoot,
my chair.
yeah.
That was so funny.
Arguably, we still use the word cunt more often than they do.
Oh, aye, all the time. But we use it in a good way. It's always a derogatory term for them, whereas it's just a term for a happy cunt,
Absolutely.
a funny
Correct.
cunt.
We're introduced to this character, Dry Eye, right? Who is this young Asian gangster, all right?
Yep.
I'm not going to do all the Hugh Grant stuff here because I think it's borderline racist.
That's borderline racist.
Well,
in the boxing ring.
the bit in the boxing ring I'm okay with. The bit in the
Aye.
boxing ring I'm fine with, and I'll explain
They
why when we get to
justified
it.
that though.
Yeah, because they justified that. But they didn't justify this. He basically says, "Licence to kill," and I was like, "Oh no, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that." And then there's a lot of dragon stuff, and there's a lot of like he calls him yellow, and I was kind of like, "Fuck, it's like 2019, son. What are you doing?" But I looked into it, right, and the actor that plays Dry Eye, Henry Golding, who, by the way, I haven't seen in anything else, but he's great in this.
He's really good, yeah.
He's a real bad bastard, isn't he?
Yeah, and I was quite surprised I've not seen him in anything else. I thought he'd have been snapped up after that, but I've not seen him in anything else either.
He was interviewed by Enemy, and he said, if you think gangsters aren't going to be racist and go down to the lowest derogatory terminologies, I don't know what kind of world you live in. I was going, okay, mate, if you're all right with it, it's good enough for me. But Jesus Christ.
Right.
We'll
elaborate on this later on, but I just loved his wee mate.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. Anyway, we haven't even I mean, I keep saying Fletcher's the best character, but arguably the best character's coming up. I mean, I don't know. For me, I like Fletcher a lot, but he's problematic. Whereas Coach is not problematic at all. Coach is a good cunt, isn't he?
He's a good cunt. He's a really good cunt. Happy cunt. Good cunt.
So, Dry Eyes, we see him stood on this dock spraying bullets into the air through this automatic rifle. And Raymond's line is, I'm going to have to stop you there, Fletcher. Because that doesn't sound like the Dry Eye I know. Fletcher says, sorry, I'm just making sure you're paying attention. And it's great because this is obviously, he's doing little bits into his film. Whatever film he's written, it's kind of good, yeah. It looks like he's smuggling people as well as engines, car wheels and the lot. I assume probably also a little Peruvian bear called Paddington.
Wee Paddy.
You can't be sure. You can't be sure. This guy, he's like, oh yeah, sorry, governor, I quoted you for a 20, and it's actually a 40 footer, so it's going to be double bubble. The first use of the term double bubble, which I like, and he's like, and he just gives him shit, and he says, I don't have to murder you. So look, pay the man. That's it. Just gives him like his money.
A man's only as good as his quote.
That's right. Yeah. Man's only as good as his quote. I like that. I'm going to stick with that. So now we meet Mickey's wife, Roz, who word kept wanting to change to Rose. Right. It's one of the posh bits out of Downton Abbey. It's one of the posh lassies out of Downton Abbey. She's not very posh in this, is she?
Oh, no, she is.
No, she's right cockney geezer.
She really is, isn't she?
Isn't she? Yeah.
She's good though. She's another good character.
She's very good. She's very good. Yeah, she's she's not much of a character, but again, he doesn't really write female characters, does he? So
No, he does not.
She heads into this garage she's got. So it's all women. This garage is great, by the way. It's all women working for women. Yeah.
Some Mustangs and all sorts.
Oh, was there? Yeah. She heads up because she can't find the main guy. One of the customers is complaining. And Mickey's using Raj, this guy, to try out the new weed strain because he's black and black people obviously smoke weed. Fucking hell. Come on. This isn't very well written at this point. Anyway, he explains that the Strauss deal is going through. He likes the idea of retiring and being middle class. Would you like some tea? And that's the thing.
Yeah.
At this point, Fletcher and Raymond are outside so that Fletcher could smoke. And there's this fantastic, wonderful barbecue table teppanyaki thing
Oh, looks
that
great,
warms
doesn't
your
it?
knees while you sat at it. It's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really
Fantastic.
good. I liked it a lot.
Designed for this film, that by Guy
Oh, was
Ritchie.
it?
Yeah,
Oh man, that's brilliant.
yeah, it's
Because it
really good
looked the
because
business, didn't it? I'm like, oh, I
it,
wonder where you could get that fee.
it did look the business. Yeah. Fletcher says, "Oh, I really like this. Where did you get it?" He says, "You can take it with you if you fuck off now." And Fletcher, any chance of some steak?
I know
It's
it's a
great.
bit of a weird request, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And he says, "Yeah, I've got a bit of wagyu in the freezer if you want some."
Wagyu.
Ray goes to this massive chest freezer in the garage. Fletcher's as he's going, Fletcher touches the bit of metal that goes on. He's like, "Oh fuck me!" He's like, "Be careful, it's hot." He grabs these steaks, these frozen steaks from around the corpse.
Yep.
It's also in the freezer, and he calls them
Grabs the wagyu.
Aslan. Now, I'm not sure, but how has he defrosted these steaks to put them straight on the grill? Are we supposed to believe these are some sort of magic auto defrosting steaks?
Well, it should be at $200 per pound, big man, because it looks as if wagyu, olive wagyu costs anywhere between $120 to $300 for one steak.
Wow.
It's a lot of money. A lot of
Hope
money.
somebody got fired for that blunder.
Yeah.
See, Gadget, I said it. I said the bit that you're bothering me about all the time. I said it. Do that. Actually, while I think about it, the things we do for our patrons, while I think about it, Charlie Hunnam guy sounds just like Gadget. Gadget, are you related to Charlie Hunnam or what? What's the crack?
Have you got a cardigan? You got cardigans?
I don't think he's a cardigan guy. Gadget, we'll ask him next week when he's on. We'll ask him next week when he's on. Charlie Hunnam, born in Newcastle, grew up near Penrith and went to university in Carlisle.
You can sometimes hear his Newcastle accent a wee bit in some of the dialogue.
In this, I
Sometimes
think he's playing it Geordie. I think he's playing it
is
flat
it? That's all
Geordie.
right then, because
Yeah, he's
sometimes
playing
it's
posh
hard to
Geordie.
tell. I think we was trying to do like what's the name? Is it Tom? I was going to say
Tom
Tom
Hardy.
Holland there. Tom Hardy and try and bastardise accents because he tries to do that as well. So don't know what he was doing, but you could totally hear his Newcastle accent, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, no, I think that's how he's playing it personally. But yeah, you might have a point. His first role, John. What TV show do you think Geordie Charlie Hunnam's first role was in?
I've seen it. It's Biker Grove. I've seen his scene.
What? Talking man, I cannot see my eyes.
And see the worst it is, he went with a mate to get the gig, and he went with him,
did he
and
really?
he ended up getting the gig.
Oh, I like that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Did he go with Spuggy? Did he?
I was going to say Ziggy, but that's a totally different.
He's written a screenplay which apparently he sold to be made. It's called Vlad, and it's about Vlad the Impaler.
Oh.
I mean, I don't think we need another film about that, Charles. But yeah, very good. He makes his own ice cream because obviously he's Penrith, in it, farmers and that.
True.
And he got expelled at 15 because he threw open scissors at a teacher.
What? You made a run with him. Never mind, throw them.
That's what they tell you. That's what they tell you. Back at Roz's car business, Dry Eyes here. He's offering no charge for these two massive containers of car parts that we've seen. She'll hook him up with a meeting with Mickey. It's explained that the head of the Asian gangster families is Lord George, and I kept calling him Lloyd George, but that's the bloke that created the NHS, so it's not him. Who we assume is the elder of all the Asian gangsters in London.
Yeah.
There's a meeting in the back of Mickey's pub where Dry Eye comes in, and he explains he only took the meeting out of respect for his wife, but Dry Eye is not to approach his wife ever again.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's heard Mickey's getting out, and he wants him to consider an offer for the business. Mickey says, unlike the salt and pepper, the business is not on the table, which is a very good line. I liked that. Dry Eye makes the offer by tapping it out on his phone, right? And I rewound this 3 or 4 times, okay?
Yep.
To make sure I got it right. Now, he taps out a number with 17 zeros, right? Unless he's tapping getting into his calculator app or whatever. I don't know. But 17 zeros, right? And that is a sextillion, which I think is what you've had built in your basement, isn't it, John?
And the red room? Yeah.
But it's not obviously not like 40 sex decillion. I don't know, but I watched it 3 or 4 times and counted it, and it was 17 zeros every
always
time I
17
counted
clicks.
it. Yeah, and I think it's probably just the clicks for the just for the film. It's there for the, it's not. I think it's just, again, like Quentin Tarantino, you open up the boot and the gold thing shines, and we
you
don't
never
know what
get
it
to know.
is. that kind of thing.
It's one of those.
Mickey explains it's not for sale, and even if it was, it's several zeros short, which is fucking wild.
What the hell? That's Jeff Bezos money there, isn't it?
Yeah. He explained it's a big number and he should take the deal. And Mickey says, and this is a big gun, and shoots dry eye at this guy. Ray explains he was there. It didn't happen, and it's not how Michael works because he's been gentrified.
Mm-hmm.
So we get back to the scene, and he explains if he continues asking, he's going to put 5 bullets in his head. Okay. Now, this is the best scene. This is the funnest scene of the whole thing for me. These guys in these guys are at the drug farm, right? And get out this van in these fantastic looking Burberry style, but not actual Burberry trackies, which were custom made for the film. And they've got all these GoPros on, balaclavas. I was into those.
It was quite good, wasn't it?
And they basically break in and have this massive fight with these chaps guarding the farm. After that, we get to the best character. We get to
at the
coach.
Yeah,
we get to the coach. He's at this chip shop or this like takeaway, and these kids come in, this late night calf, causing havoc, being rude. But your man in the Burberry tracksuit, of course, Colin Farrell. Mm-hmm. Love him. I mean, I could watch him in anything.
He's brilliant in this. It's always when he's like, take 2 steps away, take 2 steps away.
He's especially brilliant when he's just being Irish, I think.
Yeah, too true.
He explains the kids need to wait their turn. They stink of piss. One of them pulls a knife on him, and he just slaps it out of the way.
Yeah, he just slaps his wrist, doesn't he?
Stop dancing! What are you, a 4 tributes act? You're putting the gay back in Marvin Gaye. Which I thought was a great line. He's like, come on, give me some back and forth. And the guy's just like, fuck you. And he's like, no, I need something to bounce off. I'm on fire. Fights happen up here in the grey, in your brain. This other kid goes to knife him. He squirts him in the face with some vinegar. Slaps them all down. And then his phone rings. Just as his phone's ringing, he's like, look, come down the gym. We'll see what we can do with you. And they're like, are you the coach? Oh, my God, you're the coach. His phone goes. It's Ernie. And he says, come back to the gym. We've hit the jackpot. And these guys at the gym who he's been working with, these boxers, they call themselves the Toddlers, which I didn't really get. But I guess there's not a million names for bands left. I don't know. And they've edited all this fight that they're doing with the GoPros and the cameras to this brilliant bit of fucking rapping, this grind kind of thing. And it turns out that your man Ernie, I was like, this guy's acting's rotten, but his rapping's amazing. Turns out he's a grime star, a guy called Bugsy Malone.
Ah, right, okay. I've seen that name in the credits. I thought he stole that name from somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, he could have been anything he wanted to be. He is the very best at being grime stars. Basically, they take them all down, and they've got it on the thing. Who's watching it but Mickey and Roz? At the club, the coach explains he's got to take the video down, but it's too late. It's been going mental.
Yeah, everybody's seen it.
Yeah, at Mickey's, the guards who've been battered, honestly, we're just really impressed. The skill of these lads, they've been trained really, really well. That's great. Rosie has figured it out, and this is where she says that there's fuckery afoot, isn't it?
Aye,
she knows that something's up.
Yeah.
Because why has it been found now when they're so close to getting a deal?
Just as she told Matthew, I think she insinuated that, didn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. They meet up at a fancy club. Matthew explains that he heard Mickey had some trouble with a break-in, but he's a supportive friend. He's bought him a token. The token is an expensive paperweight, John.
Yeah, the gun.
Did you check out the model of this expensive paperweight?
No, but I've got the rest of the guns.
All right, just not the Derringer.
Not the
We've done
Derringer.
Derringer. We've done Derringer to death. So yeah, it has tiny gun, 6 bullets. Mickey says in this country they're illegal. Matthew's wife, who's not a character, says her second and only line in this film. But so's riding your bike without any lights at night. Correct, John?
There you go.
It's illegal. Matthew says, and
Yep.
so is naming your pig Napoleon in France.
Remember that from my youth.
Illegal. It's been illegal for fucking decades, for hundreds of years. Yeah. Big Dave's plan is to discredit Mickey and some of his posh pals by running stories, including the daughter of a lord who's a runaway with some smackheads. The parents explain to Mickey that they're desperate to get her back, and he explains he'll look into it. He gets Ray involved, and Ray says, I don't want to go to a South London council estate, and I hate smackheads. But it's in the posh part of Croydon. It's like, there is no posh part of Croydon.
Is there though?
There is, John. Yes, there is. The safest neighbourhood in Croydon last year was Park Hill and Whitgrift, where just 65 crimes were reported in the ward.
Oh. Was that for a week?
In a night, yeah, probably. They got trams, though, Croydon, so, at least that's something.
Nice.
We go to the flat in Croydon, and he knocks on the door. Shaving a haircut, doesn't he? Gives it the old shaving a haircut. Yeah,
Right.
Fantastic. You know they're stoners inside because it's playing Roxy Music's In Every Dream a Heartache, which is one of those fucking regular, like, absolutely hammered
stoners.
off your tits on heroin things, along with any Iggy and the Stooges, really.
Yep. Yeah. And they were
this-
with the. So I was looking at the heroin because at one point it shows them sort of baking it in the spoon, don't they?
Yeah.
But I don't know why I Google all this stuff. I just Googled what other methods can you use with heroin. So you can smoke it and you can snort it.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could snort it.
Well, that's what happens in Pulp Fiction. Mia Wallace snorts heroin thinking it's cocaine.
Oh God, yes.
That's how she ODs. Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Because he's been and bought the heroin from. Get my little black medical book. Didn't he? You're gonna be okay. Different film. Anyway,
from the flies, boy.
Yes, exactly. And the lassie out of the Commitments. So they get in by basically battering down the door with this fucking like this hand battering ram, which I thought was pretty good.
So I checked that as well. The best I googled the best way to break a door down, and basically just to tell me something I already know. It just says you need to kick the side where the lock is mounted.
Okay,
I knew that. I didn't need to Google that. Now I'm going to get into trouble for googling something I already know.
So something you've been doing for decades. Yeah.
Exactly, smashing doors in. We won't say what ones.
Wait, here he is. So this heavy Dave tells him to sit down. He goes and stands by the door. There's this other character, Bunny, isn't there? He's reading the paper, the big lad. Bunny. I like Bunny as well. And downstairs, there's another guy stood with the car to stop these kids from fucking breaking the car. And they're basically being pains, and he's hating every minute of it. Ray explains he knows that the parents want her back, but also he knows everything about all of the kids in this place. He knows who their parents are, where they went to school, and he knows everything about them.
Except you.
Yeah. Laura knows that he works for Mickey, and there's this Russian kid, he calls himself Aslan, who also knows who Mickey is. Big dick swinger, he says. Ray explains Bunny prefers the gym to drugs. He says, what can you lift? He says, I can lift 3 wheels per side. And one of the smart kids, he says, what about you, to one of the smack kids? He says, what can I lift? He says, oh, I know you couldn't lift a wheel of fucking cheese.
Well, he's going old school on that spliff, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's talking about how to roll the perfect kind of joint, isn't he?
Yeah, half and half.
Yeah. He says, what's wrong with the old days? Having a smoke, having a drink, having a smoke and a drink of some wine, fingering the wife while you play some Barry White. And none of these kids are old enough to know who Barry White is. And then one of them says, "Sorry, am I in the bath while Barry White's fingering my missus?" Which I was going, okay. I like that. Barry White, John, Barry Eugene Carter, died in 2003. Doesn't seem that long ago. Nearly 20 years.
Yep. The Walrus of Love.
The Walrus of Love, that's right. He smoked approximately 150 cigarettes a day.
Fucking
I wonder if he died at 58.
I know. Then he's got that voice as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the man's out at the bingo until 9 o'clock if you want to come round for some liver. Nominated for 11 Grammys, won 2. Fucking loser.
Oh, man. Poor
There you go.
Baz.
Don't go changing, try to fool me. I don't know why he's from North Yorkshire.
That's your Bolton.
He's a turn at the Phoenix Club. Yeah. Laura agrees to leave. By the way, the character of Laura is played by Elliot Sumner, who is Sting's daughter, John.
Oh, what?
Yeah, a little connection to Guy Ritchie's first film, Lock, Stock, because Sting's in that.
Oh, brilliant film.
Yeah, it's one I've not watched for donkeys.
Yeah,
I really need to watch it.
To it.
I've watched kind of all the others a lot, and I think I've only seen that maybe 2 or 3 times, and not for at least 15 years. Ray tells Dave to keep them in the flat for a little while, and Aslan takes a hammer to Dave's back, which does nothing. It's like Dave's back is coated in steel or something.
Yeah, it just brushes it off, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And then he charges Aslan out of this open window for his trouble.
Yeah.
Hits the ground right behind the guy guarding the car. And all these fucking kids are all taking photos on the camera phones.
Yeah,
the next scene's basically a chase scene, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're all getting chased down by the heavies and Ray for the camera phones. Fletcher's there, of course, taking photos in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Fletcher explains at this point he wants the toilet. Ray makes him take his shoes off before he goes in. And when he comes out the toilet, he sees Bunny and Dave with the corpse of Aslan.
Yeah.
It's just a big stare off, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah.
And then Ray walks in. "Is there a problem here?" Fletcher says, "Oh, no problem. I don't see a problem at all, but I did forget to wash my hands." And he goes back into the bathroom. I said, "Look, can you call ahead next time?" And Bunny's line is, "Oh, yeah, sorry, love." And I love it when big, massive butch men call each other love. I really do. Like, it's such a throwback to the 60s. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I am all for calling big butch men love, but I do not want to be fucking eating soup through a fucking straw for the rest of my life. Because so many people today are so fucking
precious.
Yeah, they just don't understand that it's just a nice thing to say to somebody. Anyway. We're in the boxing gym now, and coach asks Ernie, Bugsy Malone, if you got the name of the Chinese guy. Ernie says his name was Fuck with a PH, like fat.
Brilliant.
Coach says, "Don't get street with me," which is really good. Really, really good. Don't get street with me.
Oh.
He's such an old man in this, isn't he?
I know. He really is.
And this is the bit you were worried about talking about. So if you're cutting this, you can cut whatever you want out, mate. All right. So Primetime, one of the other boxers, shouts over at Ernie to get in the ring. And he calls it, he says, "Get in the ring, you black cunt." Right?
Yep.
Now, of course, Ernie is upset. And you understand why Ernie's upset. But Coach explains to him, he is saying 2 things. He is saying you are black, and he's saying you are a cunt. But what he is not specifically saying is you are a cunt because you're black.
The 2 separate
And I was
things,
kind of like, that's very good. That's very good. But John and listeners know we are not black. So tell us if you are black, or if you have, if you are not white fucking British like me and John are, tell us, would you have an issue with this if somebody said to you, "You Chinese cunt," or would you have a problem with that? Anyway, it's going down on the recording now, so people can edit it however they want and, download it and edit it however we want so we look racist. But whatever, not bothered. We'll take fucking Tanner down with us when we go, so it's fine. But what he says is, Ernie says, well, Primetime's a gypsy, but I wouldn't call him a P word cunt.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying the P word because I am vastly against the P word.
Right.
Yeah,
I know,
you all know the P word we're talking about. We've
Yeah,
all
yeah.
seen Snatch, ladies and gentlemen. We know what the P word is, but I'm not going to say the P word. I think this is going to be our last episode. I think this is where we get cancelled.
That's where
Yeah.
we get off-commed.
Yeah. At this point, Ernie says, "Oh, by the way, I know the guy that we took the money off of," and he says, "Now, don't you fucking tell me his name's Mickey Pearson." He's like, "Blimey, coach, are you a gypsy? Are you reading tea leaves? Have you got a crystal ball?" Now, that's racist, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just because he's Irish, but it's just the bit where he goes, "Now you fucking tell me."
Aye.
It's furious, isn't he?
Everybody's going crazy. He's like, just carry on. Nobody tells you to stop.
Yeah. At Mickey's pub, Coach walks in and speaks to Ray. He explains he knows who he is. "I know you're the consigliere." Consigliere, of course, as we know from The Godfather, R.I.P. James Caan, is basically the solicitor, the man who takes care of all the legal side. And he wants to apologise for the lads. "I'm taking full responsibility. They're young and stupid, and I'm offering my loyalty. And my loyalty is my word and my time." Coach takes Ray to the back of his car to show him the character Fuck. Because he keeps saying
What a
fuck.
conversation. Yeah,
Instead of saying fuck, he keeps saying fuck, doesn't
Yeah.
he? He says like the word fuck, only spelt with a ph. What,
Yeah.
like fuck? And he says, "Yeah, for hook."
Yeah.
Stop saying it wrong.
Even the point where he actually struggles when he gets him out, he says, "Shut the fuck up."
Fuck up. That's it, shut the fuck up. I'd missed that, yeah. Now, they get for Hook out of the car, and he makes a run for it, still bound, isn't he? Dives over this bridge onto these tube tracks where he gets run over.
Jesus.
Mickey says, "Are we going to have to get you some parachutes to Ray?"
Yeah.
Doesn't he?
We're seeing a pattern here.
Keep falling. He's going to take care of everything himself. So he goes to Lord George's restaurant. Lord George is watching. What you watching? I'm watching the telly. What are you watching on the telly? I really liked hearing Matthew McConaughey say telly.
Telly? Did you like
the
that?
way you said it? Yeah, just something like, I am watching the telly. What are you watching on the telly? I am watching the racing by satellite from Hong Kong.
My only vice.
My only vice, yeah. 2 horse racing courses, legal at least, in Hong Kong. The Happy Valley Horse Racing Stadium sounds fun, doesn't it?
Does it sound good?
55,000 people and was opened in 1845. The Sha Tin racecourse, which is what I think probably what Lord George ends up doing at the end of this scene, Sha Tin himself, was opened in 1978 and holds 85,000 people. They have 474 races a season, including the Hong Kong Derby. He explains that it's not his only vice. His other vice, is selling heroin and coke, which kills people, whereas I don't. At this point, we see Jane staggering out of her parents' house, high, before collapsing and dying on the lawn. And Lord George starts to be a little unwell, and he's basically vomiting like that scene out of Monty Python.
Yeah.
Mr. Creosote everywhere.
Straight across.
Yeah. Turns out Mickey put some shit in his tea, and what he's got there is Shigella. Now, Shigella is a bacteria which causes an infection called Shigellosis. Most people with Shigella infection have diarrhea, sometimes bloody, fever and stomach cramps. Symptoms usually begin 1 or 2 days after infection and last 7 days. Most people will recover without needing antibiotics.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah, it looked painful.
It did look pretty fucking minging, didn't it? And what was in that tea that was bright orange? That's what I want to know.
I know.
Later, Lord George meets Dry Eye. By the way, meets Dry Eye on the canal, right? Did you see this building behind him on the canal?
Yeah, it's like a 2-story Chinese ornate.
Do you know what it is?
Is it a restaurant?
It's the Fang Sheng Princess, the floating restaurant. It's at the Cumberland Basin on the Prince Albert Road, just off Regent's Park. It didn't look that dear, but it looked like your bog standard Chinese, mate. I'm honest. I'll just go to Joyful Denton Home instead. Thanks. So there you go. That's a little bit of something for you there. And at this point, they have a bit of a set too, doesn't he? Dry Eye and
Lord George.
yeah, and he says, look, you're old, I'm young, I'm the new, I'm moving with the kind of times.
Yeah, step aside, old man.
Yeah, and don't push me. Yeah. Fletcher explains Lord George was found dead. Anybody else would think it was Mickey or Ray, and Fletcher shows Ray a picture of Matthew and Dry Eye at the football, which he filmed from the other side of the stadium. He says, I had it lit, read and translated, like the 1974 film The Conversation, which was released between the two Godfather films. It's kind of like, okay, this is good. Gene Hackman, of course, was in the Conversation.
Harrison Ford as well.
Harrison Ford, yeah, absolutely. Francis Ford Coppola.
Yeah. Written, produced, and directed by Francis Ford Coppola.
Absolutely, and associate produced by a fuck ton of cocaine, because Coppola was famous for it. Now, this bit, they're sat at the football, and he's got some transcripts, and he basically makes Ray sit next to him and read the transcripts.
Yeah,
doesn't he? And he's reading it. Dry Eye explains to Matthew that Lord George is dead, and that it was Mickey's fault.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the words, there was something about an octopus. Get your octopus in rows or something. And so some of the words aren't right. The translation's very bad. But it basically explains to Matthew in English he needs to back off because he's taking over. Dry Eye's taking over. The stadium, John, was the Emirates Stadium, North London, home of the Arsenal. Cost £390 million to build and holds 60,260 people. First game played there was Dennis Bergkamp's testimonial against Ajax.
I had that, just know the testimonial.
Oh, there you go. I'll tell you one thing that you didn't have. Memory from a friend of the podcast, patron and previous episode guest, our friend Dan Belson. Massive arse. Null fan. And he...
How long have you been sitting on that joke?
No, I haven't. I was like, oh man, I love it when I write stuff. He tells me that his favourite memory there is of the 4-4 against Spurs, but it's also his worst favourite memory because I think they were 4-0 up. So he went from hugging a stranger that he didn't know to out of joy to crying on a stranger that he didn't know. If you want a box, which is what they've done, we can get a box there, John, for the 30th of October to watch the world famous Nottingham Forest.
The Forest?
Because so far this season, me going to watch Forest has been an absolute fucking disaster.
Did you kill it?
I was sat with the Geordians the other day and I managed to kind of keep it together as we got fucking hammered. 15-seater executive box, John. £6,750, including VAT.
No bother.
Half the price.
We'll half in for it.
Absolutely. All this patrons' money will get us where we need to be. So it turns out that Dry Ice is now in charge. Oh no, Dry Eye. That's my fucking Microsoft Word thing, picking up me saying things. He's in charge now. Lord George is dead. We now go to the boozer, which is basically the scene from before the credits, where he's on the phone, Mickey's on the phone, but we also see it from Rose's perspective. Somebody comes in, and this is where Mickey realises someone's there. Someone pulls the gun on Mickey. We see the blood on the pint. Turns out there's another person there. It's Ray has shot the gunman to save Mickey's life. At Roz's office, turns out it's Dry Eye.
Dry Eye, yeah.
Dry Eye's there with a couple of goons. And basically, he says, he's going to get what he wants. He's going to get the business or he's going to kill her. Mickey jumps in the car. He's driving like a maniac to get across town to save Rose.
Charlie puts the...
he puts a seatbelt on him, doesn't he? Like, it's a big hug for him, isn't it? It's a lovely hug that he gives him putting the seatbelt on. But Mickey's not watching the road. They get sideswiped by this truck. Properly cold-feeted, don't they? Like the lassie in Cold Feet. Yeah. Roz has the little derringer. Can I just have a little boiled sweet? She gets to open the thing. She does this really good kind of like this mime with her fingers of going to get a sweet like an old person would do. But it's the thing with the derringer. She pulls it out and she says, "Look, it's got 2 bullets. And if you don't leave, someone's going to get shot between the eyes. The alternative is a little bit absolute." And this is the bit where Dry Eye picks up. I'm going to have to pick you up here on your grammar because it's either absolute or it ain't. Yes. So we learned about something being absolute and the grammar there. Fantastic. Thank you, film. She shoots between the eyes the guy who hangs around for a little bit, doesn't he? Like hangs around for a little
waits
bit
and
then
looks at his
collapses.
hand and looks up and then
Yeah.
kicks it.
Yeah. And then she gets the other guy. Of course, Dry Eye knows she's used 2 bullets. And basically he's about to rape her, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's about to.
Yeah.
He's getting his dick
Kicks
out
the legs apart.
when Mickey comes through the door and empties a clip into him.
Yeah. But it's good the way it happens because she just lies with her face on the desk, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And then she's like, "You took your time."
Yeah,
or something like
absolutely covered in blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not a dry eye in the house.
It's all over the house.
The airbags go off in the car, by the way. An airbag replacement on a Range Rover, John, will average between £200 and £400, depending on where you get it done. And depending if they're front and back.
Right.
Fletcher explains that Matthew needs a reliable pair of hands, someone like Ray, but the reason he didn't ask Ray is he was going to get Dry Eye to do it. If Dry Eye helped him drive down the price. So everything was on Dry Eye, basically getting the toddlers to do that job.
Yeah.
What Matthew didn't plan on was Dry Eye killing Lord George. Matthew's a bigger fish than Dry Eye and threatens to kill him if he doesn't fall in line. Fletcher explains that Ray's got 72 hours to get him his 20 mil that he wants for this, or he reports the story. And if anything happens to him, he's got insurance.
Yeah, as always.
It starts to ramp up now, doesn't it? This is we're getting into the kind of the end game.
Yeah.
Ray's on the phone to somebody as Fletcher leaves, explaining he thinks he's very clever, does Fletch. And let's start with Big Dave. Outside Big Dave's office, the toddlers turn up, right? And there's this guy, this security guy, who's also his driver. And it's kind of like, tell him you know karate or whatever. He's doing this pose.
I just posed at him, then when they all jump out, he's like, sorry, boss, I'm only a blue belt.
Blue belt. Fantastic. Yeah. They bundle him in the back of the van, and he wakes up the next morning with Coach there. He's naked, he's covered in shit.
Yeah. And he's telling him to calm down. Coach has done a good job of, look, calm down. You're all right.
No, it's fine. I'll get you out of here. I want to get you out of here. He said, I've just come into films. I'm now making films.
Yeah.
And basically, I made a home movie with a farmyard pig. Coach says, have a look at the video on the laptop. The only way to make it go away is stop your obsession with Mickey Pearson. Yeah. Big Dave watches it, and it's blatantly him having sex with a pig. And although we don't see it, right, the editing's on point, right, because they've put on kids singing Old MacDonald over it. And he's like, oh, you're a beautiful pig. Let me tickle that belly. Oh, you're so naughty.
Oh, God.
They've drugged him. We discovered they've drugged him. Yeah. And then there's a bit with, do you want some applesauce? And it's all this ADR stuff on this film, which is absolutely brilliant by Eddie Marsan. He's a lot of fun. He's great in everything he's in.
Oh, he really is. Yeah. He's a chameleon. He's definitely a chameleon.
He plays kind of the pathos, kind of sad sack quite well, doesn't he? He's like Toby Jones in that regard, I think.
Yeah, the only one that stuck out for me was a bit weird was Hancock. He stood it like a sore thumb.
Yeah,
he stood it like an absolute sore thumb. I'd like, that's just no him. It's just no him.
Also, he plays the brother in that Ray Donovan show that I stopped watching about 2 series in, and it just doesn't work for me.
Nah.
But I fell off that very quickly. We see Ray watching the video with Coach, and Ray's Ray's eyebrows are up. I know.
It's nightmare fuel.
Coach says, "Look, I was there when it happened, and I'm still shocked. It'll be with forever." By the way, you can get Coach's tracksuit from Sports Direct, John, if you want one for £60.
Nah, I'm good.
Do you know what? I'm glad I'm not drinking at the minute because I'd have fucking bought one. They've got to be my size. If I was drinking, I would have bought one. I'd look like a right fucking tail. Fucking tiny one of those. Ray explains he's got one more job from Coach, and Coach says, well, look, 3 strikes and I'm out. At the fish market, Mickey's meeting with Matthew, and this is where he distributes his weed.
At Piked Fine Fish?
Of Aberdeen.
Yeah. I looked up, I was like, oh my God.
Real?
No.
Right. No. Well, you wouldn't think a company would survive kind of people suggesting that everything's weed.
I know. Yeah.
Can we get 25 kilos, please? Yeah, absolutely. Can. We turn up with some salmon. You'd be gutted, wouldn't you?
You'd be like, where's my witch cheese?
Matthew wants to pay less after the break-in. He believes that after the cops come sniffing, they'll have to stop for a year and it'll take 3 years to get back to full figures. So he does all this maths thing and he says it's worth 130 million. It's not about the first domino that fell, it's about the last.
Yeah.
He says, I will offer you 100 million for the thing as a friend. Mickey explains, the big mistake here is you've mistaken me for some kind of cunt. Let me introduce you to the first domino. He moves some boxes aside and we see Dry Eye's corpse in the freezer.
Yeah.
Matthew denies knowing him. I don't have any relationship with him. Mickey's got the video from Fletcher from the football, so Mickey knows that they're in it together and explains he's keeping the business, but Matthew has got to pay him 270 mil. So that's the 400 minus the 130 he claims it's worth. Oh, he's locking him in the freezer. Transfer the money across. And I also want my pound of flesh. I don't care where on you it comes from, but I want a pound of flesh.
Yep.
Yeah. And he's got this knife, hasn't he? And then Bunny goes in with him because he's very good with a knife. Now, for me, John, finding a pound of flesh won't be a problem because I'm a vastly overweight man. For you, it'd be a little bit more difficult. But for this little fucking weasel...
Yeah. That's coming off.
Tiny, wasn't it?
That's coming off a buttock, at least.
yeah, absolutely, it is. Yeah, this is obviously a few days later where we are now, and Fletcher's back at Ray's, and so is Coach. They've got both the cases that contain Fletcher's insurance policy. Ray explains they've been onto him, and they know he's been following Michael, and and I like this. Here's how it all comes together. Fletcher basically. Ray basically got Fletcher drunk, didn't he?
He kept him there.
And kept him there as long as he could to get all his information. When he took his shoes off, he put a little tracker inside his shoes, and the toddlers managed to find out where the insurance policies were. I think one was at like this lost luggage thing, and one was at his mum's.
One was at his mum's. I noticed that. That's a bit weird, but not your mum's.
Yeah. He also explained he managed to make him forget about it all by the Wagyu beef, the posh grill, and getting him drunk on the very
expensive
Scotch, as they call it, but we wouldn't, of course.
Nah.
But that's what they call it because it's a film for Americans. Let's be honest.
True.
Coach leaves. Says that I'm out. This is my three things, and I'm out. And as he's back in the car, he sees these Russian bad bastards going through the gate. What's going on here? Fletcher explains it's not Matthew and Dry Eye you want to be looking out for. It's the Russians.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then these guys come out, and just as they're kind of about to get in, Coach pops them off, doesn't he?
Yeah. And then it singles up 4 and then just walks away.
That's right. Yeah, it's good. And that's the end of Coach in this. Now, what happens here is Fletcher decided he would take money off Mickey, but he would also take money off the Russians.
Yep.
Again, double bubble, but not until Mickey's dead. So when Mickey's dead, he gets 2 lots of money. Fantastic. When it comes out that the Russians are here to get Ray and to get Mickey, Ray rings Mickey but can't get hold of him. Mickey gets into his car. It's being driven by Russians and this extremely Russian-looking man with a gun in the passenger seat. If this man isn't Russian, he must get paid to be an extra in any scene of
Russian. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
He's definitely in Bond films, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, of course he is. The toddlers ring Coach and say, we're going to sort this Mickey problem for you. And he's like, no. But he can't get hold of them. They're gone. The toddlers turn up at the fish market with this automatic weapon and just basically blow away the car. Yeah. Mickey survives by ducking down because that's how it works. And the Russians all die. We're now in this office and Fletcher explains we cut to black and that's the end of the film. And he says, well, that's not much of an the guy that's there. That's not much of an ending. He says, oh no, smash cut to black. We don't want an ending. We want a sequel. He says, I'll leave you to think about that. I'm off to La La to touch up the competition. He leaves with this massive Miramax UK logo on the thing. Gets in the black cab, which turns out it's being driven by Ray. Tries to get out. The doors are locked. And the voiceover from Mickey is, if you want to be the king of the jungle, it's not enough to act like a king. You must be the king. There can be no doubt. I don't know what I've written here. Something causes chaos, and chaos causes one's own demise. And that's the film. I don't know what that word is, but it says stamp.
Are you using that bloody dictaphone?
I am using it. I'm going to have to stop using it. It's ruining the podcast, John.
It's like that lip reading service that bloody Fletch used.
That's exactly what he used. That's exactly what he used. Yeah. I had a great time watching them again. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the edit of this.
Oh God, I know. You need to,
There was no table readings of the film, John. Instead, they did full dress rehearsals with multi-angle camera crews, which allowed Guy Ritchie to review all of the footage that he filmed.
Wow.
Which I thought was really good. Any other factoids?
At one point, somebody said a smidge under a yard. So a smidge is a little, and a yard is a slang term for a billion. So say a smidge under a billion.
I have that somewhere. Yeah, I have a little bit more on that one, I'm sure.
I've got. Oh, it says he offers him a bag for the phone. One of the teens, he offers him a bag.
Yeah.
That's slang again. So that a bag means full bag, bag of sand, $1,000. So it's just.
Oh, right. Okay. Very
Slang.
good.
Russian oligarchs are business oligarchs from the former Soviet Union republics who rapidly accumulated wealth in the 1990s via Russian privatization.
Excellent.
That's me. I've got the guns.
You got guns?
Yeah, I've got guns.
Go for it.
So my handguns go Beretta 92 FS. I've got a Beretta 92 FS Inox. I've got a Beretta Model 70. Heckler and Koch UPS USB compact. Heckler and Koch P2000 SK. Heckler and Koch P30, and Makarov PM. Submachine guns. We've already went through some mini Uzis, but there's something called a CZV61E. Never heard of that.
Me either.
And a rifle, we've just got a Kalashnikov. Good old Kalashnikov.
Good old Kalashnikov. Yeah, can't go wrong when you absolutely positively have to kill every motherfucker in the world.
No. If you have to positively kill no one, because Kalashnikovs are what we mainly used in the A-team mind, and never shot one person.
That's a very good point. Brilliant. Fletcher's Ray-Bans had red lenses in to give him a more sinister feel. It was a bit weird. I did think it was a bit of a strange choice. Kate Beckinsale was originally cast as Roz, but dropped out 2 weeks before shooting. Not really much of a role, though, is it? I would have thought Kate Beckinsale would have expected more than some lassie off the telly. The working titles were Tough Guys and Bush, same as Fletcher's script.
Hey, nice.
Works for me. Coach was originally going to have 4 fingers on one hand, but I couldn't find out any more about that. And in the original cut, Raymond was known as Posh Pete.
Prefer Raymond.
Yeah, I prefer Raymond.
More sinister, doesn't it?
Yeah. Did you also spot there was a Man from U.N.C.L.E. poster at the back?
Yeah, noticed that. Yeah, and the Miramax.
Hugh Grant's in that very briefly. Yeah. Another Miramax film.
So is Hannibal the Cannibal.
Jesus, that guy. Oof. Okay, I think I'm out. Oh no, hang on, a couple of things we've missed. So your man's office, the Big Dave, his office looks over St Paul's Cathedral, which we walked past with Dean, a friend of the podcast, and it was consecrated 325 years ago in 1697. The cost for building was covered by a tax on coal at the time.
What?
Thatcher.
Fucking hell.
It's the second largest church building in the country, behind Liverpool Cathedral, which is fucking boss.
The Peel.
Hey, that's fucking boss, that cathedral, like, it's fucking massive. It's really big, and it's much better than my accent. much better.
I've got a production one. I didn't look up this, but I remember right during this. This says that the majority of Matthew McConaughey's shots were done out with the UK.
Oh, right.
The majority of them were shot in sound stages in America, because he was doing something at the time. They said very early he was over here. He done a couple, but not a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Not a lot.
Not a lot. A dry eye or a tear film dysfunction can be caused by a hormone changes or inflamed eyelids.
Aye.
There you go, dry eye. And you'd mentioned the yard. The term is derived from the term millard, which is used in some European languages and is equivalent to the number 1 billion used in American English. John, as I top them up, how do you think we did?
High 80s.
Higher.
High 80s.
You've not done that for a long time.
I know, it's been a while. 95?
John, 95.
Wow,
We got
gee.
95 hings. That's a very close, and I literally have nothing else to even draw from here that I thought I might have. Actually, I do. Fucking hell, I do. I've got two things. All right.
Okay.
Hugh Grant. John Mungo Grant plays Fletcher. His first name was Peter, as we've said. He had to shoot over 40 pages of dialogue in 4 to 5 days. To help, he prepared a cheat sheet, which was stolen from his car along with his script. And during the filming, he set up his 91-year-old dad with Matthew McConaughey's 87-year-old mum. And finally, John, and this is going to take us over, and people are going to call us cheating bastards, I missed Guy Ritchie off. Guy Ritchie was expelled from school at the age of 15. He said due to drugs, but his dad says due to cutting class and entertaining a girl in his room.
What?
He can speak Hebrew, and it was reported he got $50 to $60 million when he divorced Madonna, but they claimed that was inaccurate. His net worth is $150 million. Hers is $550 million. And he's a descendant of King Edward I and has a black belt in karate.
Is it no blue?
It is not blue. But John, that takes us to 103 things.
Way! See? You and your notes, you've got notes everywhere, man.
I put everything in fucking order, and then I skip things to see another thing and skip things to see another thing. When really, Hugh Grant stuff should have been when Hugh Grant came in, and the other stuff should have been when we looked at the director. Fantastic. Right, okay. Patrons, you know how this works. If people want to give us a quid, and we will give you a shout out at the end of every show. Okay. Exclusive episodes, all sorts of things. At the minute, we're doing... as this goes live, you will hear me and the fantastic Ian from Cult Connections talking about 70s public service films and children dying on farms. It's fun for all the family. Right, shouting out those lovely gentlemen and ladies patrons. Nigel Davis, owner of Wonder Emporium, does accessories for tabletop and mini games. Get him on Facebook by searching for Wonder Emporium, as well as Etsy, sells everything for tabletop. Great deals. Mention the podcast, you'll get something. Paul and Sophie of SB Film Viewers, last week they did Snatch, so it's a nice double header with this. And I really need to get back to Paul about some Patreon exclusive episodes that we're going to do. Sorry, mate, I'm going to do it. Ian McComish, Saz, Phil, and Rachel, and Gav, non-podcaster patrons. They've got now to advertise, but I want to get them all on an episode. I love you all so very much, so dearly. You are all wonderful human beings. Come on the podcast. We can do a music or a film thing with you. It would be great to have you on. Dan Belson, we've already mentioned him before. Gav Belson, Be There with Belson podcast. John was very mean to them last week. John, will you say something nice about the two brothers this week?
Do you know what? The guys are amazing, and I feel really bad for saying what I said. But I honestly think they're amazing. I really do. Yeah. So, sorry, guys.
Yeah.
It won't happen
the thing
again.
is, you said it off air, and I said it on air. So,
know,
actually, I'm the prick to blame, but still blowing it on you. Aaron, Z1 Podcast. I absolutely love Aaron and Katie's work. It's an audio drama about zombies having a relationship during the apocalypse. They got an ice cream van. They got a hamster. It's so much fun. It's really good. It's like 20-minute shorts every week or every couple of weeks. And I can't get enough of it. Joe Higgins, Hallmark of Greatness, weird thing about that, and Damn It Vince podcast. You'll get me on Hallmark of Greatness every fortnight. But better than that, listen to the other fortnights when he's got the A-team on, Katie and Bernie as well. They're the best. They're the best ones. I think they're great. I love their episodes on Hallmark films. Much better than me and James, although James is a very talented man. Punk from What the Fuck Do You Want? You know this prick. He talks about games, films, generally abuses his guests. Mondays are no fun without him, even if he is shouting at you. Mono and Mono and Kira from Mono Rants the Boys. They're talking about films now that The Boys has finished. Lovely cunts, John. We've been invited to their murder farm in rural Ireland.
Oh, what? That'd be
Yeah,
really...
so that's what you want, isn't it? Murder farm. Get
They
cut
just
up and
want
fed
me
to
for the Scottish
cats.
accent. There's been a murder.
That's it, yeah, Celtic cunts, yeah. So yeah, that's feed them to the cats,
That's a bit
Errol.
laugh.
Biggie and Stig from Modern Escapism. I pay them because they're shit hot. They've got a great podcast. And the brilliant Gadget, who's also Modern Escapism, but also Scorched Sheep, which is a D&D playthrough with the Modern Escapism lot. He's on next week to talk about The Fifth Element. I need to remind him of that because he might have forgotten. I had.
Thanks for reminding me.
He's great. Fantastic Geordie guy. And just all-round nice man. Also, he will do your DMing for a price. So his other job is DMing. You can pay him to be your dungeon master, which is not sex dungeon master, as one would hope. Ian from Cult Connections podcast, 3 different media links, 1 common thread. Listen to the Patreon exclusive this week, and you'll have a great time with that. Josh Wilson is, as his podcast has changed immeasurably over the past 3 months. It has become Be There with Belson, the American version, right? Because there's not a fucking week goes by those boys aren't on, and you're not briefly on it every week as well.
Do you know what? I just love the idea that there was 2 at it, because those quizzes we had with them are just so much fun, because the idea that they just having arguments all the time just makes me smile.
As well it should. John, anything to say to the patrons and the non-patrons?
Well, thank you, patrons, and non-patrons, get your finger out.
Yeah, non-patrons, you fucking grasping bastards, right? This is like an hour and a half's worth of fucking quality content, and you
I'll whack my fucking pan in for you, man.
I've got to be honest with you, listeners. John is fucking sweltering. He is sweating through.
Honestly,
we're not releasing the video of this, but he has been fucking mopping his brow
sweltering
with a fucking tea towel the whole time. He's that.
Honestly,
he's doing this for you. So, in the words of Bob Geldof, just give us a fucking quid.
Give us your fucking money.
Thanks, guys. Next week we'll be back with Gadget and some sci-fi, which we don't do very often.
Yeah.
But for now, he's been John. I've been Planty. This has been 103 things we eventually learned from the borderline fucking racist, homophobic The Gentleman. See ya.
Give us your fucking money. See ya.